Hi, welcome once again to those hallowed halls, those sacred pathways to the StarFleet Leadership Academy, where we're learning some lessons about life, but more important than that, leadership, from none other than James Tiberius Kirk, Captain Kirk. And the things that he said as a part of that series that we all know so well called Star Trek. Greatest captain of all time, perhaps the greatest admiral of all time, but they kept kicking him out of being an admiral, made him a captain again because he was better. Because his best destiny was championing and captaining a starship. Captain Kirk once said this: genius doesn't work on an assembly line basis. You can't simply say, today, I'll be brilliant. Now, he is saying that, trying to jerk back to reality a crew member that he is talking to and reminding them that sometimes it takes time and it takes some work to figure out what it is that needs to be done. None of us can get up today and say, hey, I'm going to be brilliant. Usually the genius of life comes as you begin to work and plow through and accomplish the task that needs to be accomplished. You learn by doing. You learn by being. For Captain Kirk, in that fictional world, he didn't become a great captain by simply getting up and saying, I'm going to be a great captain. Probably the great example of this would be in the Star Trek film Generations, the one where Captain Kirk dies. Yes, it's the saddest of all of the Star Trek episodes, but the great news is, and this is a spoiler alert, so quit listening, he doesn't stay dead. But then he dies again. So it's the film where he dies twice, and if you're a Captain Kirk fan, you just hate that. I know I did. It's my favorite of the Next Generation films, because I wasn't really a Next Generation fan, because I think Picard gets too much credit. That's a whole different story, and that's my problem. But for us, it's one of those reminders that for Captain Kirk, his greatness and the brilliance that he showed happened because he learned by doing and making mistakes and owning the mistakes and moving forward. You and I have to learn the same thing if we're going to be good leaders. You also have to be a good enough follower to allow a leader to make a mistake. Hang on to those moments and help them through those moments, because it makes you a better team when you're done. One of the strengths of the Starship Enterprise was the team that was a part of that leadership group, his bridge crew, if you will, that through thick and thin could trust and rely on each other. And even if they made a mistake, there were enough resources in the room to cover that mistake and be successful in the end. Sometimes the process is not always easy, and sometimes you don't like to see how the sausage is made, but the end result tends to be good. Now, that's the first quote. The second quote I want to give you is simply this. And this is Kirk in a moment where he's facing what could be doom, death, destruction. He says, we've got to risk implosion. We may explode into the biggest fireball this part of the galaxy has ever seen, but we have to take that 1 in a million chance. As a leader, there are times that you have to take that chance. There is always a fear that you could fail, yes, but great leaders know that. See, if there was not a chance of failing, then you never need to be a good leader. And if there's not a chance of failing, why would you even risk doing something? See, it is that chance of failure and knowing that you might not get it right that sometimes motivates you and keeps you going. That becomes important. It becomes essential for good leaders to know that. It becomes essential for team members to know that. And so this is one of those times where Captain Kirk recognizes that, you know what, this is probably not going to work, but there's a 1 in a million chance that it could. In those moments, a leader has to have enough hope to carry everybody forward, and enough clout and enough savvy to move everybody with them. Captain Kirk did that time and time again. That's one of the things that becomes enduring about the character, and then one of the things we like. There was one other quote that he threw at one point that was pretty interesting. He was saying something in the middle of a conversation. He just went, no more blah, blah, blah. In other words, we're done talking. Now, very uncharacteristic, but he just cut off the conversation. You don't need a whole lot of explanation. Sometimes you just don't need to talk anymore. And so it is with this particular episode. I've said enough. There's nothing else to say. So goodbye.